Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. So I've been watching the news, following the political landscape of this country, right? Of the U.S. To those who are watching from outside of the U.S., first of all, thank you for watching. But I'm talking about the U.S. I've been watching the news and following the political landscape of this country. I'm watching the news. I'm seeing ICE round up immigrants. I'm seeing the militarization of U.S. cities by the federal government, the fight to militarize cities, and to circumvent states' rights, right? To circumvent states' rights. The fight against that, the fight that California, that Oregon, that Illinois are doing to keep the National Guard and to keep federal troops out of their states and cities. I see the dismantling of the Department of Education, right? The removal of certain books from schools, critical race theory, the attack on DEI, how teaching about the horrific history of slavery, in the U.S. is being removed from museums, misinformation in media, the government being shut down. You know what I'm saying? If you live in NYC, then you're following this mayoral race between Andrew Cuomo and Mandami, Zoran Mandami. Then you're hearing about socialism. You're probably hearing about communism. Like all this stuff is getting thrown around. It's a lot. The courts are being stacked. Reproductive rights have been under attack. Rolled back. You know what I'm saying? Funding is getting cut for all types of programs. The government is shut down. And the fact is that it affects us all, right? And I've been watching and paying attention, and it definitely, affects us all. I implore everyone to read, pay attention, seek out credible information, though at this point what's considered credible is also becoming more and more subjective, which is just weird. But the point of today's video is this, right? I wanted to point out, because I'm going to tie it back to music. I wanted to point out an album that deals with a lot of what we're seeing right now. At least to me, it's an album that, comfort is the wrong word, but it's the album that I've gone back to and for like, damn, we've been here before. Dead Prez, Let's Get Free came out in the year 2000. They don't make hip hop like this anymore, at least on the commercial level within the major label system. I know there are a lot of people using their voice, but a Dead Prez, a Public Enemy, a X Clan, things of that nature. Shout out to Immortal Technique, Black Star, Most Def and Kweli. I told y'all before, right? We have a monthly music club membership where we all get on a Zoom call every week and we discuss an album of a week as a group. One person picks an album, we all go back and listen to it, and then we discuss it the following week. A few weeks back, we chose Dead Prez, Let's Get Free to listen and discuss, and that's what inspired this video. So first of all, I want to shout out our monthly music club members: Quincy, Mike, RJ, Sean, Lyndon, Dante, my man DJ Lights Out, Dwaylen, what up? Javi, Gage, Issa, James, Haran, plus also Jessica and Easy, Veronica, Esau, Mark Hood, Nate, Lion, Hip Hop Junkie, Jedstar, Caesar, Steven V, what up? Blue, Isaiah, Double O Wavy, Fugado, To the Human, Samuel. Love and appreciate y'all all. And I also want to shout out our community tier members, Pam Williams, Chewy. These are our newest members. Pam Williams, Chewy, Shamir Grant. What's the dirt? Welcome, man. Welcome to you all, for real. For just supporting the channel. Please like, subscribe, hype this video up, because this one ain't gonna get any views. And I don't give a damn. It's not about views. It's about using the platform to say something. So, Dead Prez, Let's Get Free. The group is composed of M1 and Stickman. The two of them met at FAMU in Florida. And were part of the International People's Democratic Uhuru movement. They were discovered by Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. Before Lord Jamar, you might see Lord Jamar on camera talking hip hop, or know him from his Vlad TV interviews. Like Lord Jamar, prior to all of this, started out in a group called Brand Nubian, which is also one of those groups that use their voice to say something. So they were discovered by Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian and signed a deal with Loud Records. If you pay attention, they were on Big Pun's first album before most people heard of them. They were bubbling in NY, and then they dropped their debut album, Let's Get Free, in 2000. The music is focused on Black liberation, Pan-Africanism, resistance to authoritative regimes and militaristic regimes, resistance to corruption in government. They focus on basic human rights, and they also in their music prioritize mental health and physical health and a healthy diet. Especially this album, Let's Get Free, is a really special album. I consider it a classic. The album's cover was super controversial when it dropped. The picture was an image of a youth-led revolution uprising in Africa, a form of resistance. I remember when you went to the store to get this album when it first came out, the cover was controversial. They used to block the cover with a sticker. There was a big sticker to block the image of the cover. I just want to talk about a few tracks and just how they relate today, like in revisiting this album and listening to this album, which celebrated its, I think it was in February, it celebrated its 25th anniversary. And listening to it, just the feelings that you get and how it correlates to what's going on today. So the first intro is a skit. It's a speech called Wolves, where Chairman O'Malley, he was a chairman from the Uhuru movement, speaks metaphorically and tells this story of indigenous people in the Arctic, that when they hunt wolves, that they stick a blade in the ice with the blade facing up, and they put blood on the blade. The blood on the blade attracts the wolves. So the wolves come to lick the blade, to lick the blood. But in the process of doing that, the wolf, of course, cuts his tongue and continues to lick the blade while the wolf is bleeding out. So at this point, the wolf is feasting on its own blood, right? And it's licking itself. The wolf essentially like keeps licking until it bleeds out and the wolf kills himself. But the wolf is eating, not knowing that it's actually killing themselves. And this skit talks about how people use that method to hunt wolves in the Arctic. And then he likens that story to the crack epidemic in the US. Something that's put in our environment to make it seem like we're feeding ourselves, right? But in actuality, we're killing ourselves. So right off the bat, powerful intro, like just gives you something to think about right off the bat, sets the tone for the type of thoughtfulness that you're going to get on this album. And this is for people who haven't heard it, man. I urge you to go to listen and if you have heard it, revisit it. Second track is I'm an African. Statement right off the back. I'm an African. It's a unifying track, right? It's Pan-Africanism, extensions of Marcus Garvey's teachings. This is what I grew up believing, being Puerto Rican, but my family is black. Like the whole Puerto Rican side of my family is black. And so it's what I've seen since a kid, is what I was taught since I was a kid. Nah, like, you black. Nah, our people come from Africa. Nah, like, you know what I'm saying? And we're taught that now. I know there's a lot of discussion online now about FBA, the Foundational Black American Group, and who is and who isn't black, and what does it mean to be black, and what does it mean to be black in America versus black in the UK versus black in the Caribbean versus from Africa. Like, that's a whole other online discourse, right? All I'm gonna say is, man, just listen to I'm an African, by Dead Prez. Or let me clear that. Don't just listen, but also read, study, and look up credible sources, right? I ain't here to tell you what to believe, what to subscribe. I'm telling you what I believe. You know what I'm saying? And when I was younger, this song made a lot of sense to me. It enforced what I saw and experienced in my own family, in my own community in Flatbush, Brooklyn, which was like, yeah, we had Latinos in my community, but Jamaicans, Haitians, Trinis, like all types of Caribbean, all types of black people from all over. You know what I'm saying? And while the cultures are different, the language may be different, the food may be a little bit different, the flags are different. This idea of a unifying, recognizing the blackness and what we have in common rather than what we have different is something that I've always subscribed to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an African, powerful song. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, they're just like, yo, if you black, then you African. You know what I mean? Like, descended from there. That's a statement in the song. So definitely something that I suggest listening to. They Schools is the next song of the album. It combats what we're being taught or what we're not being taught in our school system here in America. And this was 20 years ago. that they said this. They schools ain't teaching shit. This was 20 years ago, and I feel like it's getting worse today. Again, when you talk about the debates of critical race theory or this administration, Trump and this administration taking evidence or of slavery outside of museums because it's too negative. It paints too much of a negative picture of America. Like I feel like it's getting. They're taking books out of school. Like I feel like it's getting even worse than what it was 20 years ago when Dead Prez made the song "They Schools." Hip Hop is another song on the album. That was the big single from the album. Now there's two versions of Hip Hop: the single version, and then there's a remix version that appears towards the end of the album that's called "It's Bigger Than Hip Hop." Fun fact is Kanye is the producer on the remix version, and this is early Kanye. This is before Jay-Z Blueprint. This is early Kanye. But hip hop just talks about the cliche, perpetuated images that we get in commercial hip hop. Challenges all of that. You know what I'm saying? What are we being shown? What are our favorite artists rapping to us, and why? Police State is another very important song to me. Reflects exactly what we're seeing in Chicago right now with ICE, with Trump trying to send the National Guard in there. Still, what's happening in Portland, what just happened in DC with the National Guard, like actually policing people on the street. Just the militarization of our cities, and what we're seeing now feels like like they're prepping us for something even like, like in a couple of years it'd be like, yeah, the military in the city, yeah, that's not new, yeah, that's the thing. Like it kind of feels like that, like we're being prepped for something. But you listen to a song like Police State and you see what's going on the news and your social media, and again with ICE and the National Guard running around, that song is super relevant today. It's super relevant to what's going, like scary relevant to what's going on right now. Behind Enemy Lines is another song on the album. Tells the story of Fred Hampton, famed, Black Panther, famed revolutionary, and tells the story of Fred Hampton Jr. We Want Freedom, right? We Want Freedom is another song on the album. First line on We Want Freedom is, imagine having no running water to drink. Chemicals contaminate the pipes leading to your sink. First line, this is year 2000. Imagine having no running water to drink. That don't sound like Flint to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, Animal and Man is like the rap version of George Orwell's 1984. No, not 1984. I'm sorry. Animal Farm. George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? That was the name of the book, right? I just read it too again last year. That's so funny. Not 1984. Animal Farm by George Orwell, excuse me. But Animal and Man is like the rap version of Animal Farm. Highly politicized. If you read that book, it's a great book. Propaganda is about the media and the lies that we're told. You know what I'm saying? In the media, and how the media is kind of used to control us. And again, I think we see it now more than ever. I think that the media was always kind of a tool to program people, like, or to push agendas, right? It wasn't like, depending on what channel you watch, if you watch Fox News or CNN, you know what I'm saying, you're going to get different whatever. But I feel like it's even now more than ever with the rise of social media, with Elon telling Twitter, like, oh, you guys are the new media that anybody can buy a blue check and tell you anything and be presented as credible information. But Propaganda is one of those songs about media and the lies that we're told. And the hook is, I don't believe Bob Marley died from cancer 31 years ago. I would have been a Panther. They killed Huey because they knew he had the answer. The views that you see in the news is motherfucking propaganda. Like, so that's what you're getting into with that. But then it's not all like doom and gloom, right? With this album. And I think that's the beauty of this album is it has songs like Be Healthy, which talks about eating healthy and staying away from chemical induced foods. Discipline is a skit about like organizing your life, like having the wisdom and the courage and the strength to say no to certain things, like going to a party because you got, just certain goals you got to accomplish. Like, man, I can't hang out today. I got to finish this. Hey, I committed to this. I got to do this. So discipline is about that. Happiness just describes a perfect day, just urging listeners that even through all of this, right? Even when you may be fighting oppression, fighting a system, fighting for your rights and fighting to unify your community, that it's still important to find happiness days and pockets of happiness and the beauty in life, because that's important for your mental health. Happiness is a really beautiful song. Mind Sex is like you gotta have a song for the ladies, right? It's a more of a sexy song, but even more about, hey, just getting to know your woman first. You know what I'm saying? You make love through the mind before you make love through the body type stuff. So it's not all doom and gloom of an album neither. But I'm saying this to say, if you never heard the album, to me, it's just a must listen. If you're into hip hop, it's a must listen. But especially if you're stressed about the state of the world, it can help with some perspective. Maybe it could provide some comfort, just knowing that you're not alone, right? Knowing that it isn't just this generation. These are fights that our parents had, that our grandparents fought, and there's a blueprint, I think, to resist the bullshit. I'm not saying the answers are in this album. This is not a magic album. This is not a magic thing, but it's scary listening to it and what's going on, but there's comfort in listening to it as well. Like, yo, we're not alone, and it's motivational to listen to it, and it's inspiring to listen to it, but it also might make you angry listening to it. Like there's a gamut of emotions that you're gonna feel probably listening to this album. So I just wanted to share this. And if you haven't heard the album, I just want to encourage, if you haven't heard the album, especially, and if you kind of watching the news and you're worried about what's going on, like, check this album out. If you know the album and you haven't listened to it in a while, go back and revisit it, and then let's talk about it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? But that's it, man. I just wanted to share that. To me, that's what this channel is about. About talking about music. Of course, we talk about the hot topics, and I give you just my thoughts on what's going on in the news and what's new in music. But it's also, this is going on in the world, and here's how music relates to it. So I wanted to share this with y'all. I shared it with the monthly music club. We kind of had this experience together, and I was like, man, I want to share it with the rest of everybody's watching, and hopefully you see the positivity in that. But until next time, all right, we definitely gonna speak again. Peace, love. All right, hit me in the comments. Let's talk about it.